Greetings from Shanghai, China, and welcome everybody to the StarSeries Season 2 Grand Finals. My name is Frodan, and I'm joined on the couch by Firebat, 2014 World Champion, and recently started picking up casting a lot. Is that a trend, Firebat, or is that just something that you're picking up on the side?
More so just on the side, just kind of get bored of competitive playing and streaming all the time and still want to go to events, but sometimes don't want the stress of competing.
Sure.
Just want to hang out with all my friends and cast. So
It's a good mix-up, right?
yeah, it's fun.
Sure, it's a great diversity, and so we're not going to only be the only ones casting. We have Noxious in the house, who's going to be rotating in as our third commentator. Lothar, unfortunately, was not able to make it, but he's here in spirit. He's wearing the gray G2 in honor of Lothar. There it is. So all throughout the weekend, we're going to be having a lot of players. We're going to be having a lot of games and a lot of great players here represented. We have best of sevens all weekend long with conquest formats. And today we'll be going through Group A, where we have players from Europe, players from America, and players from Asia, specifically from China, because it is a partnership tournament. We have I-League, which is a Chinese tournament, meeting up with StarLadder, so it's a East meets West confrontation, which is cool because we don't get too many international tournaments like this.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very rare that, honestly, the Asian scene really interacts too much with the Western scene, so it's pretty cool to see. Last time that it happened, we had EU versus CN, and China ended up actually winning. So China may be a little bit better than we originally had thought in the beginning, because the kind of stereotype has always been that China's tier 2, basically, compared to the rest of the world.
Sure. I think, actually, not only the EU versus China, a recent tournament, but also through the StarLadder Season 1, where we're able to saw a Chinese player take that tournament, too. And that's kind of surprising because, like Firebat said, for a long time the West has considered China to be a weaker region than Europe and North America. However, it's been recently changing a lot because I know Chinese, specifically their region, has been trying to improve a lot. They've been dedicating themselves to practice groups, very meticulously trying to go through matchups and really testing things out. So it doesn't surprise me that they've been improving a lot.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Generally speaking, the person that works the hardest gets the luckiest. So,
Is that karma, or is it just because you actually think that's how it works?
well, no, like if you work harder, you can find spots to improve your edges by like that 1 or 2%, and then it simulates luck, basically, at the end of the day. If you put yourself in the situation to be lucky enough, eventually you get lucky. And
I think that's what you were trying to say, but you really made it sound like if you just play more, you get more lucky.
No. Hard work is essentially required to be lucky.
It's a skill. It's a skill in itself. If you can play that many games of Hearthstone, I'm sure you'll put in the time and get rewarded as such. Meanwhile, guys, make sure to let people know that we're streaming. I know we're on Twitch, but there's also a Russian broadcast. There's also a Chinese broadcast. So say English isn't your first language. Say you're sick of hearing me or Firebat or Noxious. More so me, because you see me everywhere. Then you can go ahead and tune into those other broadcasts as well. We want to also give a big shout out to I-League for helping us partner for this event. China is pretty awesome, at least in my opinion. I really enjoy it so far, and so far I think the players have also been getting settled. This is a pretty cool venue. We're actually like in a bar slash, I want to say casino, but it not really is a casino. They have like roulette and a few other really cool things here.
Yeah, and you said the karaoke room.
Yeah, there's a karaoke. It's basically a party bar in a way. Like you just kind of come here and just chill.
It's definitely one of the better venues I've ever been to. And, China, it's starting out in esports. When I started first going to it, it was like too different for me. But I've really grown on it a lot. Like, I actually enjoy coming to China now. It's one of the better places to party, I think.
We'll talk about that more off stream. In the meantime, guys, let's go ahead and preview some of the players and what we'll be seeing this weekend. As we mentioned, we'll be playing Best of 7 Conquest. That means they bring 5 decks and ban 1 prior to starting. And then from there, you have to play Conquest format, which is winning at least once with each deck. After that, you're allowed to play whatever deck you want.
Sure.
Our first match of the day will be Xixo, hailing from Germany, up against Xieshuai.
Yeah.
Now, I know I butchered that. I know some people might be thinking, Frodan, you're Chinese. You should be able to say that. But it's hard, man. You give it a try. Who's our first match, Firebat?
Yeah, Xixo versus Xieshuai. I don't know.
Good enough, man.
I'm trying. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm trying my best. And
dude, it's actually not disrespectful. It's super respectful if you try to speak Chinese in the proper way. If you just say it in like a butchered way, they're just like, meh. But if you like try to level with them and say it in like the way that it's supposed to said, then it's actually very endearing. They actually really like, people who do that.
Cool.
So they find it very respectful. So Xieshuai will be coming from Team HTB. His favorite class is Warrior, and he's the winner of the actual I-League tournament. So he's going to be going up against Xixo, who's pretty well accomplished. If you just look at the stat sheets, just straight up the ones that we've gotten, Xixo's list is literally 10 times as long as Xieshuai's accomplishments. So Xixo comes in here as the favorite, at least in the eyes of the public, because of how much he's competed. But, I think, Firebit, you were saying that you feel like Xieshuai has really good decks for this tournament to take it all.
Yeah, I've been looking at all of the players' decks we have that available to us, and looking at his decks, I say he's in a decent position. If he's able to, hold his composure, play appropriately, because we see he doesn't have very many accomplishments. This could be one of his first times at like a real big land stage.
Sure.
So it can be definitely hard to, put practice to the test here. And if he's able to do that, I think he's got a fairly good shot of going pretty far in this tournament just with the lineup and the decks he's brought. Because the real tricky thing is that fifth deck, right? When you're forced to bring 4 decks, it's pretty easy to find 4 decks that are really good, but in best of 7, you have to bring 5. And so figuring out what the best 5th deck is going to be is really going to be the story in most of these series, is just can they get a win with that random 5th deck that's not very good?
What do you see? What are the trends that you're starting to see a lot in competitive play specifically? And what do you think we can expect to see like on the ban side of it? What do you think is going to be the most hated class this tournament?
I think the most hated classes are going to be Warlock and Warrior. Those have been just the biggest trend of bans.
All right, well, let's go ahead and meet our players. Our first from China. A man on a mission is Xieshuai. He's walking through the
Definitely
tavern.
looks focused.
Is he walking to his execution? He doesn't. His name is Xieshuai. He's 23 years old, and like we said, he is the China Division champion. His signature class is Warlock, which is different from the paper that we've been given. His signature class is Warrior. Although, if you ask any Hearthstone player these days, Warrior and Warlock are 2 decks that you have, or 2 classes you have to play really well.
That's why I was saying those are the most banned classes most commonly. It's pretty much everyone's favorite class is either Warlock or Warrior. Like, everyone accepts that Shaman's good, but a lot of people seem to favor Warlock and Warrior a bit more.
Right, and it's varying across the board, too. Xieshuai, for example, he's bringing a Reno Warlock, and that's unusual, given that a lot of people have been favoring Zoo these days, and I know players have been falling less and less in love with the Reno Warlock.
Yeah, it's a kind of older variant of Reno Warlock as well. It still is the Faceless Power Overwhelming combo, but it's not quite like the newer versions with the N'Zoth package.
Are we still live?
I don't know.
All right.
Oh, they don't have sound on the video.
Oh, okay.
So they're hearing us.
Okay, so they're hearing us.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like if they listen to us and reading it, it's going to be hard to follow along.
That's true. You could read it for them if you
read
want
for
to storybook it.
I finally won a couple of tournament championships later on.
You spoke way too fast.
Yeah.
It's got a cool little Slurpee bag.
He's just here's the sickest thing that I've realized about Hearthstone. Name another esport that you can literally eat while play and compete at the highest level. You can't.
No.
That's the sickest thing about Hearthstone, man.
Yeah, it's like the bowling of esports.
All right. Xixo walking through with the classic Xixo face. That's actually how he looks like after he loses. I remember one time seeing him in an online tournament. He lost, and that's the exact expression he did. He got up slowly from his computer and sat on his bed with that exact expression. Hopefully, that is the opposite of the premonition that we get. Maybe he's onto something. In fact, Firebit actually has a bet against Xixo right now that he thinks Sivka will get farther than Xixo.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I always like making little side bets for fun,
Motivate the players?
Yeah, it motivates the players, creates drama and tension. It's always fun.
Gets your attention as well, right?
Yeah.
According to some of the rankings that we have, Ghosty Gamers, I believe, Xixo is the 3rd highest ranked player currently off of the rating scales. And that's pretty good, respectable statistic to carry around with you. I know a lot of players, they're kind of on the fence of whether or not they weigh Ghost Gamers legitimately, but it is something.
It's something for sure. I know my win against Xixo didn't count for Ghost Gamers.
I go with Face Shaman
feels
instead.
bad.
Yeah.
It's okay, Firebad. They don't really count cast matches either. They didn't count my wins against Tyson.
I think right now they're lacking
man.
some cards just because they 2 expansions retired and we only got 1 new expansion. It's like less cards than before. And I think currently there are like maybe 4 good classes and 5 classes which are a lot worse than the 4 good classes. So I think Standard has some upsides, but we need a new expansion for it to really shine. It was a Warlock mirror against Toy. And I had a Ragnar's 50-50 flip to win the game. And even if it misses, I was like so heavily favored. I just needed to top deck 2 damage within like 10 draws. It's like impossible for me to lose. But he kept winning coin flips. He kept winning 1 and 4 steals with mind control tech and everything. And somehow I ended up losing that game. The main difference is it's best of 7. So considering I was down 1-3 and 0-3 in the qualifier, I would have lost those games. It was best of 5. So yeah, I really appreciate the best of 7 format. I mean, I've beaten the odds before with my qualifier games, and I think I'm the best player left in the tournament, so I think I would just take it.
Oh, they didn't count me down. Sorry. I was just checking up the tweets on that. And then Xixo with an engaging interview that we're paying close attention to. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think best of 7 is something just, more games and card games in general, more chances, more decisions to make ultimately helps favor the player that's making the stronger decision most of the time. Do you have an opinion on best of 7 versus best of 5? Do you think it doesn't make that big of a difference?
It definitely changes a lot of things because of that extra deck. There's not really 5 decks out there that are like tier 1,
Sure.
You're going to have to make the cut down to basically a tier 3 deck for your 5th deck somewhere. And it's like trying to figure out what tier 3 deck is the best to line up against your opponent's tier 1 and tier 2 deck selections.
So you think there's not even 4 tier 1 decks? You think it's...
No, there's definitely, there's like a few tier 1s and then there's some tier 2s and then there's some tier 1s depending on what the other tiers are bringing. Like I don't even think Zoo's a tier 1 deck if Shaman's out of the meta, for example. So if you're banning Shaman, I think Zoo falls down to tier 2. Because you're removing some of the decks that it's favored against, right? So there's like a lot of stat reports you can look at that are public, like the Vicious Syndicate stat report and things like that show like thousands and thousands of Legend player games and showing what comes out to be, like edges over the certain amount of expected field matchups overall. And then from there you can be like, yeah, that one's tier 1 for sure. It's got like 55% overall against all matchups after, 10,000 games. And then there's some that are just not. So I think the 5th deck is really tricky, and I think it maybe makes it a bit more... I prefer, honestly, 4 decks, just because I don't like the 5th deck being such a liability all the time, and we see one deck getting farmed a lot in these sort of formats, and I'm not so much of a fan of that one deck being like struggling and just hoping to get a win with one deck.
Yeah, so you're saying it's not even that surprising to see you go up 3-0 and then your opponent comes all the way back and ties it up and then all of a sudden sends it to a game 7 because of this one deck. It definitely feels that way. I know Firebat's extremely opinionated on a few choices, most namely the fact that Tempo Mage is starting to make a little bit more of a popularity surge, and you feel like that deck's a little bit weak?
I'm not a big fan of the Tempo Mage. Like, I understand it. You have 2 good factors going for you with Tempo Mage, right? The early game ability to blow people out. You have, like, your Mana Worm start. You could sometimes get lucky and hit, like, your Mana Worms, your 2-drops, and your spells to go with it and just instantly win any series, which is insane. And then you also have the Yogg factor. So, like, if you live long enough, sometimes you just Yogg and win. So your deck has 2 factors that can automatically win you the game if you get lucky, which is pretty insane sometimes. But overall, I think the quality of the deck is a little bit lackluster. I was testing with Xixo. We played 3 series, best of 7.
The person he bet against.
The person I bet against. We played 3 series, best of 7, and I queued Tempo Mage 3 times, and then I won the Tempo Mage mirror, and then reverse swept his Tempo Mage. So I lost with Tempo Mage 3 times, and then came back in the series all 3 times. I just kept queuing.
Outside of that mirror, it essentially just went 0-6 every time.
Yeah,
okay.
It wasn't extraordinary. So
brutal.
Although there has been a lot of changes to a lot of these Tempo Mages. No one's bringing like the standard Tempo Mage, right? They've all noticed, the standard Tempo Mage isn't cutting it. Our 5th deck can't be a standard deck. We have to tech it for the expected field, and the expected field is obviously, Shaman, Warlock, and Warrior.
Warrior, yeah,
So-
especially the rise of just the variations of Warrior. I think we've had Tempo Warrior, Dragon Warriors also made a little bit of a splash. Cthulhu Warrior really catching on to popularity, which is awesome because I had a debate with Life Coach for a long time. He didn't actually think that Cthulhu Warrior would actually be legit, and now he loves it too. So I'm trying to look at the differences between some of these Tempo Mage decks, and I think one of the things that is pretty cool is the inclusion of Archmage Antonius in Xixo's Tempo Mage list. Is it even really Tempo Mage anymore? I mean, it's a lot of people have debates on the nomenclature of such decks.
It is definitely interesting for sure. It's like either Tempo Mage or like Control Mage or something.
Like mid-range. Somewhere, one of the three things.
It's kind of like mid-range Shaman in a sense, right? Like you have the aggressive Mage opening, and then you just kind of veer off and do your own thing in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, true that. Taking a look at the class lineups here, the difference being with these two guys, that Mage and Warlock versus Hunter and Shaman. Now, Xieshuai choosing not to bring Warlock, apparently. Oh, sorry, I apologize. The
Yeah,
band's
they got
never mind. Which is a really good choice there, but he's choosing to ban Shaman on the other side. And again, Shaman, you were talking about, like, people in the West are just coming down on it. They don't really feel like it. They feel like it's manageable. They feel like they can deal with it.
Yeah, it's definitely been, not as powerful as it's been in the past. Still one of the highest win rate decks on ladder overall, though. So, it's definitely not a bad deck. It's just the problem with Shaman is its worst matchup out of all of the matchups is against Dragon Warrior. So Dragon Warrior just recently became super popular in ladder and tournaments. So everyone's kind of falling off the Shaman hype train just because, they're getting farmed by Dragon Warrior, and they don't, that sucks. You don't want to get farmed by Dragon Warrior, so they've been switching up Shaman and going for other things.
Yeah, I view Shaman ban as never a bad choice. I just think it's a very safe choice, and I can't really get mad at it. Let's go into game number 1. We have Warrior versus the Mage. Now it's a Dragon Warrior up against Tempo Mage. And Fire, you're kind of nodding your head. Is there something that you spot immediately?
Not really. It's just like this is one of the most influential games in the series by far. Like, if Xixo's able to get a win with his Tempo Mage round 1 going into it, he gets the momentum on the back, and he gets his weakest deck out, he's definitely going to be in a great spot to take this series. He's already got the Flame Waker and the Mana Worm. So
And the coin.
And the coin. This could be pretty good for Xixo. He's off to a really solid opening.
Yeah. Now, Dragon Warrior has, like you said, caught on to a lot of popularity. But, I think one of the coolest things about Dragon Warrior is how aggressive it can be as well. People really think Warrior is a slow-to-start deck. But with cards like Fire Warax and Alexstras's Champion, there's a lot of ways you can ramp up really fast and take control of the board commandingly.
It turns out a 2-mana 3/3 Charger, pretty good card.
Yeah, it's insane. It trades well with pretty much everything. At worst, 1-for-1 with most things.
Like, imagine if that didn't have the dragon effect tagged on it, how much mana it would cost. Like, just in the standard to go along with the curve of other cards, a 2-mana 3/3 Charger.
Yeah, it'd probably be 3 mana. If you look at Korkan Elite, for example, 4 mana 4/3. It's also a
Sorcerer plus Arcane Blast or what have you. It's just the Warrior player is not in a terrible spot though, because Xixo's development of a 2/4 doesn't really do anything because he's got the Blood to Ichor Fiery Warax, catches himself right back up, but
Oh, no!
Oh, he
Okay.
gets it.
Yeah, he knew the entire time.
man, that would have felt bad. That would have felt bad.
That would have put him really far in an awkward situation too, because that's a fairy dragon. You can't exactly ping it off easily with the Mage hero power, so you have to either fight off with more spells or more minions.
Yeah, now we have the option here of, Ghoul Execute to develop a 3/3, or you can have Blood to Ichor Warax develops the Warax and a 2/2. It's just more things, right? Like a 3/1 Warax and a 2/2 is bigger than a 3/3.
Yeah.
So you go with this line of play.
Again, to respond to that's where the Arcane Blast though with Cold Sorcerer is a big swing.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many 4 health minions in Dragon Warrior, and, there's just so many minions this spell power Arcane Blast kills. It's only doesn't kill like 6 or 8 minions in the whole deck in a deck full of minions. So
it's a pretty underrated play again by Xixo, who people widely considered to be one of the better technical players from Europe.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Xixo definitely knows how to play the ins and outs of almost every matchup. So yeah, really respect his patience here. Just playing the control game with his removal hand instead of trying to tempo out and burn his opponent. Because he would just run out of cards way too fast if he overreacted to these minions.
Which this deck often does
Yeah.
find itself in awkward positions, and then as a result, you do see people play cards like Kabbalah's Tome, which is exactly the opposite of Tempo in a lot of cases. It's like, well, if you're Tempo Mage and you're playing Kabbalah's Tome, 5 mana, draw 3 cards without a preparation. It's just really ridiculous.
That's the draw right there. It seems pretty good. The weapon's gone, so you have less vulnerabilities. So
if he had the ability to control that Flame Waker, there's been an insane tempo swing on his side, where you could use the spell power Arcane Blast with the Flame Waker on top of it.
yeah, I think you do it. Just do it still. Like, why not? I don't know. Maybe you want to be more patient. Your opponent's down to 3 cards, though. You have removal set up for days. I like it. If it hits, you win the game, right? So it's like not even that bad of a gamble.
25% chance to win the game.
Seems
like
good
it.
enough, you know? And the downside, like, the upside is super huge, and the downside is very minimal. Like, downside, you lose a 2-drop. Okay, big deal. Upside, you win the game.
And this is something that I feel like I'm all too familiar with playing Dragon Warrior myself, which is a lot of times if you're trying to get onto the board so aggressively, you don't really have you don't always have the dragon activators to make cards like Blackwing Corruptor good. And it's not necessarily that it happens all the time. Just there's some instances where you really need it to activate. It gets really unfortunate.
Yeah, the saving grace here for the Warrior player is really going to be this Ragnaros. So Xixo doesn't have a great way to answer the Ragnaros yet. And he's behind on tempo playing into a Ragnaros, and you never want to be behind playing into a Ragnaros because that's when it really punishes you.
Guess that's one way to answer it if you hold on long enough. Yeah. It's not pretty. But it's like you said, if Rag can snipe this 3-6, then Xixo is going to be digging for answers, or going to hope that his Fireball Arcane Missiles can clear it.
I mean, even still, though, you're losing 3 cards to 1 Ragnaros, right? Because you lose the Water Elemental, you lose the Fireball and the Missiles, and they've only played 1 card. So then all of that work you did being patient in the early game, taking a little bit of extra damage to space out your resources, all that's erased. Your card advantage is gone.
Well, it's fine. You got Yogg Saron, which will draw you 5 cards, clear the board.
Yeah, I saw you
summon
playing
all Commandable Companions.
Earlier, your Yogg Saron this morning, what did it do? It cleared the board, sprinted, and played 3 secrets or something?
Played 2 secrets, buffed my Yogg with Divine Shield.
Oh, yeah, Divine Shield and attack, yeah.
Kind of disappointed I didn't get Call of the Wild.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't have it all, right? All right, so pretty important landing here. If it didn't land on the rag, that would have been super annoying. But it ends up being able to ping it off. And now Xieshuai is in a very awkward spot. He needs to pick up a dragon or something that can help him clear the board. Oh, there it is.
And that's active too, so that's going to be 9-9 instead of the 6-6.
Wow, way to like just slide under all the predictions. Like Dragonoid Crusher, a card that we wouldn't expect to see play at all constructed. Really cool to see that included, considering that Big Game Hunter is just nowhere to be seen these days.
Well, yeah, we all expected it not to be seen when Big Game Hunter was a thing.
Right.
Because we were like, 6-6, that if it's active, it dies to Big Game Hunter. Great, fantastic.
Right. So it's like you never wanted to be activated in a way.
So now that Big Game Hunter's out of the meta, the card is actually pretty solid. Even as a 6-6, it's pretty threatening.
Sure. Statistics just really do matter, or stats-wise, doesn't really matter. Malkarok, interesting.
With a Water Elemental on the field, it's a bit intimidating.
You can just pretty much guarantee snipe the Water Elemental, though. It's a 3-1, I believe, right now.
Okay, sure.
So there's that.
But then your weapon's frozen for the following turn, but it is the biggest minion you can play, right, while removing something.
Unless you get, what's it called? The, wow.
Gladiator Longbow?
Yeah, Gladiator's Longbow means that you don't actually get frozen because you don't take the damage. But that's a very cornered case scenario. More often than not, you're going to be stuck with 2-2s and 3-2s, or in the worst case scenarios, Light's Justice and Cursed Blade.
Yeah. Cursed Blade would have been a bummer.
Wow, okay, so Xixo can...
I mean, he can Yogg. I just don't really like Yogging on this board too much, just because you have such powerful plays in your hand, but at the same time, if you feel extremely threatened by that 6-5, it may be the best way to go, but I kind of like Faceless Summoner and ping the 5-1.
Oh, okay, he played his Yogg, but his Azure not green, implying that Azure has died, which always is scary.
Must feel extremely threatened by the 6-5's potential to possibly kill him.
Okay. Well, he cleared the board and drew cards. Hey, remember how I said it was like Doom?
Yeah.
Well, except his summons this? Oh,
you missed the 50-50.
Yeah, I was expecting some crazy stuff, dude. Man.
Well, that was a really good Yogg, all things considered, though.
Sure.
Oh, cool!
Did you say it was good? Oh,
Holy
man.
smokes.
Dang. And imagine if it buffed those 1/1s to 3/3s.
Yeah, that would have just decided the game for sure.
Dang.
I mean, all things considered, it's still a very exceptional Yogg. It's
Yeah.
definitely above average for sure.
The barrel of a 9/9.
Well, you have the freezing trap.
Right. Your opponent doesn't know that,
Mm-hmm.
but
Xixo believes, like, judging from his play of playing Yogg's last turn, I believe Xixo believes that card that's been sitting in the warrior hand the entire game is Grom. Because he was really afraid of that 6 damage minion. That's why he decided to go for the Yogg's Saran. And
right.
so if he's assuming that there's Grom in the hand, he's probably not too, like, in believing that this freezing trap's going to stick around.
Sure. I mean, he has one freezing trap too, so he's probably thinking that Antoinette has a high chance of survival.
Sure.
Because you have to get past both those mirror images first, which he can't.
Can if you pull back the 9/9.
Play Ravaging Ghoul and the Core Chronically and then kill.
Mm-hmm.
So that Ravaging Ghoul actually ended up being pretty useful because of that 1 damage weapon.
Yeah, not to mention the fact of cleared the board last turn.
Yeah,
It's been a good little Ravaging Ghoul for sure.
You definitely clear Antoinette, right? You don't. I think there's lethal on the board if you do so.
Well, you got 3 from hand if you draw a dragon, and then another 1.
Yeah, I think.
But you would take 2 fireballs worth, which is 14,
14.
plus 19 plus 3, so you would die.
Yeah, so he has to clear.
And then the ping.
Okay. Is there any out here for?
You probably do still start with draw, right? You don't need to ping this turn.
So it's Frostbolts in his deck.
Yeah, Xixo's just... His plan of the early game is starting to pay out for him. You can see here the Dragon Warrior's got 1 card. Xixo has 5 cards in his hand. Xixo only has 6 cards left in his deck, though. So it's like, at the end of the day, is his deck even value enough to beat Dragon Warrior?
Yeah, what if he doesn't have enough damage?
Yeah,
to
what if his
actually
deck
kill him?
is just too
Actually,
weak?
it's a good question. Let me look at some of the stuff here. Does he have like Cabal's Tome to draw more cards? No, I think the cards that he's missing is 1 Frostbolt, the Polymorph, and like another mirror image. And then he's got. Would have been really useful if he was able to pick it up.
Yeah, he would have the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but unfortunately for him, find it. So there's 7, 8.
11 with. Oh, so he picks up Fire War Axe. Now he's at 10. If he had the dragon, he would have had 11.
Yeah, he can set up lethal and hold back the Blackwing Corruptor if he chooses to do so. He's got to be afraid of Xixo's potential burn. He's seen 1 Fireball thus far this game and 1 Frostbolt. So Xixo's got the ability to burn for about 10 damage from hand.
Yeah, it's scary too because that Water Elemental doesn't exactly mean that Fire War Axe can swing twice either.
Yeah, you probably have to clear it, right? I think
that's awkward.
You may have to just, like, double trade the minions and War X the 3/2 and just Blackwing Corruptor, like, go the full trade? I don't know. That seems terrible, though. They have 6 cards left. So if you don't trade, you lose to the 1 and 6 top deck. If you go all face, you've got a pretty good chance of winning the game if they don't draw a Flame Strike, right?
That's true. You might even have Grom off the top if you're able to push in damage all in here.
Right, he's going to take 1 value trade, and I guess War X down the Sorcerer's Apprentice, leave up the Water Elemental.
Sure.
Sure, I like this line. It's just, it only loses to the 2 draws that Xixo has to draw Flame Strike if he runs Flame Strike in his deck. You know, he's not so sure that it's even there.
No!
Yeah.
That's going to be all she wrote, I think. Because the mirror image will really solidify the fact that Xieshuai can't get through these the health in time. And then Xixo is just basically going to be whamming on him, stopping the Fire War action ever being relevant. But I mean, Xixo had 6 cards in his deck, so he had a 33% chance of drawing it over the course of
6
the 2
cards.
draws.
True 2. Pretty good odds there. And Xieshuai just picks up probably the worst card in his deck at this point in time.
Yeah.
He is not running Deathwing. A lot of players in Dragon Warrior actually were running Deathwing, myself included, on the last day, pushing for the top 50.
Yeah. You did. I saw that.
Yeah,
That was
Deathwing
cool.
was really good. It's just because in Dragon War, your opponents go for this value game, and you start running out of cards at around this time. And when you draw Deathwing and exactly 10 mana when you just started running out of cards, it's a really good card.
Oh, yeah, sure. I think it's just kind of like continuing to level up. And not to mention, like you said, you're going to be playing really aggressive onto the board all the time, so you're kind of like out of cards a lot of times.
Yeah. A lot of people also ran Onyxia in this sort of Dragon Warrior deck as well.
Yep. Yep, and that's going to wrap it up here. Xixo is going to be able to just blast through, and a really good game number 1, I think. A lot of small nuanced plays that really helped give Xixo the edge. Some turns where he showed restraint that I know that I wouldn't have shown restraint too. Just like you have 4 mana, you have like almost entire hand you can play, and he chooses just paying. That's really good discipline being shown there by Xixo.
Yeah, it was really, really well done, just executing the value game plan in a tempo deck. You know, sometimes you got to play your deck a little bit differently and adapt to what you're facing against, and Xixo does that quite expertly.
Right, and I think that's also one of the things too, just being able to identify your opponent's deck, and that's where cards like playing the Dragon Champion right off the bat. It's like, well, I'm playing a Dragon Warrior, so. All right, so let's take a look at how the lineups actually have shaped up now that the Tempo Mage is out. You said this was a crucial game 1.
Yeah, really crucial.
So now that he's out of the way, I mean, Xixo looking pretty good to take the series, you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Xixo should... I would say he's a huge favorite at this juncture. Like, he's brought all of the other basically Tier 1 and Tier 2 decks, in my opinion, and...
Well, he's got mid-range Shaman. That's interesting. It's always like I think people consider mid-range Shaman to be slightly below Tier 1, like Tier 2-ish.
Sure. It's his Shaman was banned even, though.
Oh, you're right.
So
I apologize.
He has Zoo and Cthulhu Warrior and then Yogg Druid, some of the like highest win rate decks on ladder in the last like month and a half. So
sure, makes sense.
I would say he's in a really great spot, and he's up against some of the more creative decks, some of the ones that are...
He's got some interesting decks. We'll show you guys. I'm sure.
Well, I mean, it's not just like interesting. It's just like Hunter. It's always everyone knows that Hunter's a little bit worse than, and also doesn't have good matchups against any of those decks from Xixo. So it's going to be really hard for Xieshuai to get a win with the Hunter.
No, I was talking more about like his Reno Warlock, which I think I consider Reno Warlock still pretty interesting because especially some of the choices, like for example, Bane of Doom being in the deck, so it's pretty cool.
The Reno Warlock's been banned, though.
Oh, it's been banned.
Yeah.
I apologize. I had the bans mixed up. I thought Xixo's Shaman was banned, or Xixo's Warlock was banned.
Oh, no, we are going to get to see that Warlock from Xixo, which is a quite interesting Warlock. I'm not so sure I'm convinced it's the best Zoo archetype, but it is a different Zoo archetype, and it's been performing for Xixo in the past in some open tournaments over the week, so he's decided to continue playing it and bring it here, but this is another crucial matchup for sure. Xixo was able to get a win with the Tempo Mage. Can we see the Hunter nab a win, though? Of the matchups remaining for the Hunter, this has got to be the best one for it, right? Besides, Xixo's Cthulhu Warrior.
Yeah. I mean, Warriors, Hunter's supposed to kill Warriors in general. So
it's supposed to.
It isn't from your experience?
It depends how greedy the Hunter list is. A lot of people have been going more hybrid with it so they can have a chance against other decks on ladder, right?
I suppose so.
So this Hunter deck, though, we see is not going hybrid at all. We see it's got the double Tiger, it's got the Kodo, still rocking double Highmane with that, and double Call of the Wild. So
wow,
it's about as greedy as you can build a Hunter. And it's on the board, which is absolutely huge for this. And that means every draw he draws after this is going to be bigger minions than what he's already played. And since he's already won the board with this, those minions are going to be 10 times more impactful. Like Savannah Highmane, when you play it, and you're usually behind, right, because you're Hunter and your other cards aren't as great. But if you're dropping Savannah Highmane and you're already ahead on the board, that is a terrifying lion to deal with.
It usually just means you're going to win the game.
Yeah.
Because the Druid can't deal with it really efficiently. There's no cards similar to Entomb or Polymorph that would just deal in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like you said, it's not bad. I think that was a Freezing Trap that was played.
Yeah, Freezing Trap is up for the Hunter.
Makes it awkward. Onyxia, really cool inclusion in recent times. I know you're a big fan of that card over Cenarius.
Yeah, I just feel like Onyxia oftentimes has more impact than Cenarius does on the board. Just Cenarius, not as nearly as many stats as Onyxia, for example. The only benefit is the taunt. And I feel like most of the time, as the Yogg Druid, you're not behind enough where you need to be like, I need to taunt or I'm going to die. Back in olden Hearthstone metas, where you were afraid of getting comboed down or whatever, there was more burst in the meta. There's not that much burst besides, Shaman.
Right. Or the Leroy Jenkins power overwhelming stuff.
From Reno Lock, sure.
Yeah.
But that's like completely fallen out of ladder meta at the moment. So, yeah, I think Onyxia is a pretty solid tech choice. A lot of people playing it nowadays in the open tournament scene and in even some major tournaments now.
Yeah, it works really well just as presenting threats, nonstop. You are more of a token-esque approach. And I know some people have always experimented with Nixie on the side, but it's cool that she is becoming more accepted into the mainstream. It's time for her to shine as a dragon, in my opinion.
I mean, she's always been like a really good card. It's just like she has no instant board impact when you play her, so you've always been afraid of dying because in the past, Hearthstone decks have had a lot more burst in them, and they've had a lot more ways to kill you. Nowadays, a lot of the finishers in decks are kind of outlasting and grinding and slower win conditions, so a big clump of stats starts actually fitting in.
Hence the 9/9 from Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
All right, Xieshuai just going to play another Strength Tigers' strongest play, at least for consistency. You could always try Animal Companion, but that's not reliable. Plus, it's more expensive to play a Tiger, so get it out of the way.
Sure, yeah, you could have went with the King's Elec, looked for, Houndmaster to go with anything, but...
Oh, man. That is a lot of stats. 8, 10, 13, 18 damage on the board. Well, that is one way to chew through the defense.
Yeah, it's not a great way, though. It definitely does not feel good. And what does he develop with? I guess you go Kill Command Animal Companion, you miss the hero power. So he's going to go Kill Command King's Elec, it looks like.
King's Elec, I guess, is more efficient for mana usage. Doesn't win the joust. Even if he did, second King's Elec is not exactly amazing.
So, yeah, prioritizing that hero power and punching that Tiger to the face. He's looking to try and string together the last bits of damage. There is Unleash the Hounds in his deck. Maybe he can find that.
Yeah, or another Kill Command, perhaps.
Sure, yeah.
He has the Animal Companion, so he always has the Huffer Kill Command Dream.
The Dream. And Xixo's deck does not play very many taunts. It plays, in fact, only one taunt, right? The one Ancient War, and that's it.
Right, he doesn't have Druid the Claws in his deck.
Yeah, Druid the Claws has been falling out of favor quite a bit lately, so that is all of the taunt Xixo has for the entire game has been removed, basically.
15 plus 6, so it's 19 damage? Yeah, it's still very far off from killing him, but, I mean, it's still amazing board presence. That's always so troll when Wild Growth draws the Innervate. Oh, man.
Yeah. He's going to have to set up a 2-turn lethal because he wasn't able to find the Savage Roar, which he was undoubtedly looking for lethal this turn, so... Trades. I imagine we see Power of the Wild come out this turn and then a bunch of trades.
Right. He has the ability to Violet Teacher Power of the Wild, get that extra token in. Pretty clever. I like that. Very good sequencing, making sure that he can get that extra damage and extra token in.
Yeah. Innervate hero power for the armor.
Yeah. That was immaculate play there. Xieshuai, he has that Huffer Kill Command, or even just Quick Shot or something, I believe. Actually, any damage with Huffer should be enough. Assuming that's Quick Shot, Bow, Kill
Even
Command.
another Huffer.
Even another. I think, did he play one command already?
I don't know.
Yeah, he did. He played early on and got that Huffer.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, he did. So
one
not
good
even another Huffer.
Yeah. And if he shuts down a 2/2, there's still way too much damage onto the board. Wow.
If he deadly shots a 9/9
Yeah.
and shuts down a 2/2, there's still 2, 3, 7. There's only 8.
Yeah.
So he can live.
He can live. I mean, he can still live if he just deadly shots the 9/9.
Yeah, easy snipe.
1 in 5. I've had worse odds before.
Well, he could have Kodo'd first to improve his odds.
Also true. But perhaps he's thinking...
he needs to hero power Animal
he
Companion.
needs to hero power like as much as he can. All right, well, that's going to wrap up the game. Game 2 goes to Xixo, up 2-0. Now, remember, this is best of 7, and more importantly, it's double elimination. So you have a chance in the early stage groups if you even lose one best of 7, which is ultimately why I think the players are very favorable upon the terms. They just like the idea that even if you lose one best of 7, you get another chance. And so whoever comes out of the groups really does have probably the overall better lineup.
Makes a lot of sense. Definitely double eliminations are a lot better. It's just a shame that like all the tournaments always like they get through groups and they have the nice double elimination system, and then they go to single elim for the decide who wins.
Well, you think the finals should be double elimination? You know, like the winner has to win twice with 2 best of 7s. That's kind of excessive. You have to single eliminate somewhere.
Why?
Because that's
why
just
can't we just like
reasonable. Because we're also putting on a
Reasonable.
broadcast fire bet. It's not just about finding out who's the best.
But let's just make them play for like 3-4 months and then
Oh, you mean like ladder? You'd rather have ladder where you just play like hundreds of games.
the tournament
determine who's
ladder.
the winning.
No. They're just. Why can't we just make the tournament really long and make them suffer so we can figure out who's the best?
Well, it just sounds exactly what ladder is at the moment.
Yeah, that's no fun for anybody. So.
That's exactly what you're promoting. Just putting more.
No,
games out
I
there.
don't like ladder.
Alright.
I like more games, more
Okay.
tournament games, more
Gotcha,
best of sevens,
gotcha.
more best of fives.
So you're a big fan of Swiss then?
Sure, I like Swiss. Swiss
You
is
play
basically
9 series. That's a lot.
but that's basically double elimination when it comes down to it, because you can't lose more than once or twice.
Well, I guess if they
Or
make,
triple elim, I guess is.
I think it's because there's not enough time to have cutoffs.
Mhm.
In my ideal world, we have like a 10,000 person Swiss,
10,000.
and then you just have cutoffs at like certain thresholds. So you get cut off at like the first cutoff's at like 5K, and then the second cutoff's at like 2K, and then the third cutoff, and then you play it over like 2 weeks, and you call it the World Series of Hearthstone, and you put like $1 million on the line for the winner. That sounds sick, dude.
That does sound really sick. Yeah.
It's like you host it in like a huge convention center and stuff, and just make it like a once a year. Someone give me like $5 million, and I'll make it happen. Actually, well, maybe like 7, because I got to pocket some for Little Frodo.
sure.
Yeah.
Seems legit. It sounds like a lot of work to make that happen.
Sounds like a lot of work. But,
Yeah, if you're only taking 1 million, I think that's a good deal. That sounds like a pain in the ass.
it is a pain in the ass. Man. It most likely just sounds better on paper, too, than
Oh, yeah.
actually executing.
Yeah, organizing a tournament for like 1,000 players is just
A nightmare.
miserable.
Even
Organizing-
100 players.
Yeah,
is
even
like
100 players.
dealing with players who are like, I don't have, like, my iPad disconnected in the middle of it, and now I have to regame, that kind of stuff. I have to
Yeah.
do that times 1,000. Time
Yeah.
to get land for Hearthstone, right?
Tournament mode would be. I don't know how long we've been asking for that.
All right, here's the jank, by the way.
Yeah, the Jank Zoo.
The janky zoo that Firebat says. Now, the reason why this is janky is not because the card's like Lance Carrier, but because this deck has some very weird choices across the board. Why don't you go ahead and talk about it, Firebat?
All right, so we've cut the power overwhelmings. We want to try
zero
and,
power.
Yeah, 0 power overwhelmings. The idea of the deck is you want to try and make sure every top deck is as impactful as possible. So then you've added in Argent Commander, you've added in, Lance Carriers that can buff your onboard minions. You're supposed to be on the board all the time, and you don't have any slow, like, Death Rattle minions in there. You've cut a lot of those. So
Well, the card that I'm most curious about, I can
Young
understand
Priestess?
I can understand Wrathguard. I can understand Horse Rider and Argent Commander because it's getting onto the board. But why Young Priestess? That just seems weird to me, man.
Young Priest. It's a 2/1, so I guess you can buff it with Direwolf Alpha. Sometimes it has some instant effect. You don't run too many, like, 1/1 Death Rattles anymore because it's cut that card, and so the buffs are more impactful. But getting a buff on Wrathguard is actually pretty huge, so I can understand it. It's just, it's so janky to me, especially because the play style of the deck, obviously, right, is mostly just play every card in your hand out on the field. And I always get in a situation where I have Argent Commander in my hand with this deck, and then I discard it with something, and I never have been able to play the Argent Commander yet. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It costs 6, so you get to turn 5, and you have Argent Commander and Doomguard in your hand, and then
Right.
you play Doomguard, and you lose the Argent
Argent
Commander.
Commander,
Like,
yeah.
every time. Or, this happens. You just always discard Argent Commander. I think the purpose of it in the deck is to be discarded. And then
Sure.
your opponent sees Argent Commander, and they're like, what am I playing against? And get confused.
You might. Oh, it's the
Yeah.
bamboozle play.
The Bamboozle play.
It's kind of like got that Jirax's subtext that we all know, right? Where it discards Argent Commander every time.
Yeah.
It is a golden one, too, for point of reference. Xixo going to just try and clear here and starting to grab control of the board. Before it looked like Xixo was losing more and more of the board, but Xieshuai also played a little bit slow, too.
Yeah, if that Brand sticks around, this Argus is going to come down with that Lance Carrier. Both getting double buff could be insane. But
Oh. Well, before it was kind of awkward, but now with our Korkan Elite, very clean snipe on Brand.
yeah, you want to make sure you kill that guy. There's so many cards in this janky Zoo deck that work well with Brand.
Sure. Lance Carrier, also a very odd inclusion. cards like Argent Squire benefit a ton
Yeah.
from that.
And Horse Rider.
And the Horse Rider.
And
Argent Commander.
Sometimes.
Whenever he actually does get played, one of those 20 games.
And if like one of your minions gets a bunch of health from Young Priestess sticking in the early game,
Sure.
and you Lance Carrier that guy.
Yeah. I mean, Voidwalker as a 1/3 isn't that intimidating, but as a 3/3 taunt, it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So there is merit to it. I mean, in the end, Lance Carrier does bring 5 stats to 2-drop. That is pretty middle of the road.
But yeah, you can see his hand's like completely empty. And the play style of the deck, and the reason why the cards are included the way they are, and why they're Soulfires instead of Power of Whelmings, is because you don't really tap much. You definitely just dump all of your cards onto the board, and it usually works out pretty well for you. That's the design of the deck, is just to throw everything on the board. Unlike the current versions of Zoo, which are a lot more tap oriented and they have the Power of Whelmings and focus on big swing turns. This is more just constant mediocre
Flood.
pressure.
Yeah.
Flood.
Mediocre pressure. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty good pressure as far as I'm concerned for this game.
Well, I mean, the Zoo pressure is a little bit different, right? Zoo starts out with really low pressure and then has the big swing turn, normally with the Power of Whelmings on the Sheep
Right.
Death Rattle minions, and then starts putting on heavy pressure out of nowhere.
Sure.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's not super mediocre pressure. It's just not. It's not the good old Zoo I remember,
Fire Bed's not impressed, to say the least. 5 damage on the board, 6 health on the opponent. Any single source of damage would end it.
It's working. It's definitely
Hey,
working.
if it wins once, it's good enough. At least in Xixo's book. Xixo kept walking around before the tournament started, saying, "I have the best decks. I have the best decks." And it's like this deck. Is this a Xixo original, or is this something from someone else?
I believe it's from Cursed. He's
Okay.
a player for Esports Hero.
Cool.
I'm not so sure if it's actually from him, but I know he was the one that started playing it in the
A
European
lot,
scene
okay.
first. So it may be from actually the Asian scene. Awkward
It
enough.
wasn't surprise me. I was telling you, man, that the Chinese specifically love aggressive decks. Specifically love Argent Horsefire. They're obsessed about that card just because it's pretty good. Cards are awesome.
It's not
So
bad.
that's a 3-0 lead, meaning that Xixo's Cthulhu Warrior has to win only one time.
Yeah, and I imagine it's going to win.
Yeah.
It has a few, not so great matchups, but it has one kind of ace
Hunter.
in the hole here, which is no, not Hunter. Hunter's not a great matchup for it, but the Shaman is a pretty good matchup for it. It's not the most exceptional matchup, but it's definitely favored for the Cthulhu Warrior. And then Cthulhu Warrior against Cthulhu Druid is exceptionally favored for the Cthulhu Warrior. So oddly enough, a lot of people are yeah, Druid counters Warrior, but when it comes to the Cthulhu Warrior archetypes, especially Cthulhu on Cthulhu action, the Warrior definitely has a pretty solid edge.
No, I was saying that Hunter is the worst matchup.
Oh yeah, Hunter is the
then-
worst matchup for sure.
And then Shaman is... How do you feel about Shaman? It's kind of 50-50.
It's 55, 56-ish range for the Warrior.
Okay.
So
You think it's... Okay. I
And
think
then
it's pretty even.
I think Dragon Warrior is about 50-50, and I think against Druid is a good 60% for the Cthulhu Warrior. So.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense in that department. Well, I mean, if you look at how it's also built, Xixo has some really interesting choices too, in my opinion.
The Deathwing, of
Deathwing,
course. Yeah.
Deathwing going into Cthulhu Warrior.
I don't know how much I like Death. I've never really
Yeah.
played around with it, so I can't say I have first-hand experience with Deathwing and Cthulhu Warrior.
It's
It's
true.
just
How you know you don't like it till you try it, Firebet.
I feel like while I play Cthulhu Warrior, I oftentimes hold on to a lot of cards, right? I hold on to key removal, I hold on to key combos like the usually Bran and Doomcaller, and we see he's cut the Bran Doomcaller, which makes sense. You can't hold on to combos while playing Deathwing in your deck, right?
Right.
So he's removed some of those combos, put in a lot more anti-aggro cards, and then thrown in the Deathwing. So now he's just more streamlined deck that just answers things immediately and relies on Cthulhu and Deathwing as a crutch when you're at 10 mana instead of holding removal for specific scenarios. So
What matchups did that help in just based off of your
it's
first
going to help
impression?
Shaman a lot. So it's going to help against Shaman a lot, and it's going to be... I'd say it also probably helps Druid a lot as well, and it probably also helps Dragon Warrior. So I think it helps 3 of the 4 matchups here.
Well, if that's the case, that's a pretty intelligent read from Xixo on the current tournament lineup, and hence
Yeah.
maybe why he thinks he has the best decks. But we'll find out. I mean, even though in the end you're the favorite, doesn't mean you're guaranteed.
Yeah, and it's also I've never played with Deathwing Cthulhu Warrior while cutting the Bran Doomcaller, so I can't.
Sure.
I'm just making assumptions, right? I don't
Yeah.
even know if the card draw can support the play style of dumping your whole hand on the table, which is we see 2 Acolyte of Pains in his deck list, which is
Yep.
really uncommon for Cthulhu Warrior. They've been running either 1 or 0 Acolyte of Pains.
Right.
So you see the entire play style of the deck has been shifted around just by the inclusion of that one card. You have to
Right.
change so many things to make it work.
Yeah, no Emperor. Yeah, it makes sense. sense across of what he's trying to do. So as a result, there's a lot of adjustments. Now, Xixo already trying to fight back onto the board, but he's got some pretty decent tools. He's got early game minions, and that's just pretty much what Warrior wants. Cthulhu Warrior gets the benefit from having several more early game plays than the usual Control Warrior, which is often stuck just hoping that they have the weapon or a bash for like cheap removal.
The Warx pickup, he could go for the 50-50 here, or he can just develop the Beckoner of Evil, or he can even develop the Ravaging Ghoul. I don't think any of those are terrible plays.
Oh, interesting, Ravager. I didn't think about that specifically, because I don't know how that much 3 health, or 3 attack, excuse me, really matters.
Looks like he's just going for the Warx hold play.
Okay.
I wonder why he goes for Warx hold. He was going to wait for Infested Wolf, I guess. It sets up really nicely against Infested Wolf. Yeah, I like it. Otherwise, if you go for Beckoner of Evil that turn, you cannot play Warx and Ravaging Ghoul in the same turn.
Right.
So this is the only line of play that lets you Warx and Ravaging Ghoul. So it's the only way to set up deal with the most common Hunter 4-drop play, which is Infested Wolf. So really, really good eye there by Xixo, setting up accordingly to deal with that.
So he's now starting to take initiative against the Hunter, which is what Hunter is supposed to be able to do against Warriors. Shangathor Tiger only play here, so Xixo he could start putting his own minions back onto the board here with Cthulhu's Chosen.
Definitely seems like a good Cthulhu's Chosen turn. And now all of his Cthulhu cards are active. Now his Cthulhu is now at 10-10, so that's pretty huge. A lot of times you struggle at getting that activation.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And then you're stuck with like Twin Emperor just being at his 4/6 taunt by itself. If Xieshuai wants to remove efficiently, he just has to use Deadly Shot here.
Yeah.
I guess the good news is that he does have 2 cheap minions behind it. Like before, he didn't really fill out the curve that well because he only had Huge Tone. Now it's pretty decent.
I wouldn't have hated just playing High Main into there. But it is like one of the better Deadly Shot targets that you can come to at this point. So yeah, it is definitely a toss-up right between those 2 lines of play.
Oh, the Acolyte can draw multiple cards here. Let's see what ends up happening with this little Fiery Bat. Shout out, of course, to Fiery Bat.
Yeah, slight sequencing error there by Xixo. He could have swung with the Warx first.
Right.
I guess if he's not choosing to swing at the 3-1, it's fine.
Well, now you don't choose to swing.
Now you definitely choose to swing at the 5-1, but you could have potentially Acolyte swung at the 3-1, then Gould.
Right.
I don't think it's really that big of a deal. If he's going for the 3-1 anyway, then it is a slight sequencing error. Yeah, his Gould took 2 hits.
Yeah.
It could have been the Acolyte of Pain.
And it could have been an extra card.
Yeah.
Which might be the card that he needs. Well, we'll see. I mean, for now, it's still relatively safe. Xieshuai has a couple of choices here as well. The Shangathon Tiger means that there's guaranteed 11 power next turn for the Call of the Wild. Savannah Highmane, though, is also just really strong, just always strong. Do you think there's any merit for the Stranglethorn Tiger, or do you think just because we want to get Highmane out?
I do think Stranglethorn Tiger wouldn't be bad. It's just when do you play Highmane then? I guess you'd play it after the Brawl, after Call of the Wild. So I wouldn't have totally hated just Stranglethorn Tiger shoot, because I feel like this is going to give your opponent a lot of Brawl value if they are able to pop the Highmane. Because then you're going to be going like Call of the Wild, and then that's when they want to Brawl, and they're able to remove the Highmane Hyenas and the Call of the Wild with the Brawl. So having the Savannah Highmane out there just doesn't line up great against Warrior's removal. So I'm totally on board with your play of Stranglethorn Tiger shoot.
Well, so now it doesn't have that convenient removal.
He's definitely in a kind of awkward spot. He has to know Call of the Wild's coming next turn, so he's got to try and figure out how do I set up best for Call of the Wild on the following turn. Can I afford to play Sylvanas and not die and then maybe try and Brawl and take something? If I'm doing that, now I have to somehow pop this Highmane. He doesn't have a way to pop the Highmane. So it gets pretty sticky.
I mean, he kind of can if... Well, he actually... Well, it's really tricky because of the taunt from Misha. I mean, he did have the Disciple of Cthulhu and Brawl next turn, but like you said, the Call of the Wild is just so annoying to deal with.
I wouldn't have hated just running the 3-1 into the 6-5 and then, going Disciple of Cthulhu Brawl next turn after you played the Sylvanas this turn.
That is really clever. I like that.
Yeah. So.
Oh, this card is insane. Still my vote to be the strongest card in the set for Whispers of the Old Gods. I think it's up there along with Nazoth and, of course...
The problem with the line of play of trying to set up Sylvanas Brawl for this turn is he would be at 6 right now. So he would go
Oh,
Sylvanas Brawl, and then his opponent would kill him.
Command, yeah.
So that's kind of the math he was doing there, and what he was roping out on is like, I can go for this greedy line of play to set up the Brawl to remove the board, but I'm going to die.
Yeah. Well, he can still brawl and retroactively, or use the Disciple of Cthulhu to clean up the 2/2s inevitably. That was also fine. Choose to do this first instead. Okay.
And then here comes the boss.
All right. So just hoping for basically just not Huffer, right? Basically no minions. He has a 2 out of 6 chance, so 1 in 3 for one of his minions to survive. And
Doesn't
the
get
hyena, but it's definitely the least threatening one out of the bunch.
Oh man, that bow adds some heat.
A lot.
His bow hero power is looking pretty gnarly. I also don't hate the tiger, but that bow charge is going to take 2 turns to be able to administer its damage. You've already seen 1 gain 10, so I'm more on board with that line of play than the tiger.
Yeah, if you're going to go for 2 turns, it's actually even more damage. It's 6 as opposed to the 5. So he needs to get out of the woods here. Is there a card that can help him that? I don't think so. Maybe if you can get shield block, shield slam, that can help him.
So there it is.
Oh, what?
You might be able to make it.
I think it's close. Wait, there's 5, 9, 11. Oh, he's 1 damage off.
Oh, yeah, he's in it.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
Fested Wolf isn't much help. It is a sticky minion, though.
Yeah.
But Tiger's probably a bit stickier. I think you do launch the kill command.
You launch a kill command and...
Yeah, it helps your quick shots be a better out so that you can go Infested Wolf quick shot into something. So.
Okay. Yeah. I do like using the mana usage as well in case you need to dump Infested Wolf next turn, for example.
Yeah, there's
You're
like
kind of stuck.
Almost no reason not to use it, I don't think. Your warrior opponent's not going to Reno. That kill command's that kill command's always going face there, so
yeah.
You've just made it so quick shot is less of an out for you now.
That shield block too, though.
Yeah, double shield block draws for Xixo was pretty nice. Well, he had 1, but getting both of them for sure is good. He's just hanging on by a thread.
1 damage off. I mean, he just picks up any source of damage, and he's through. That's the power of Shengothor Tiger. The stealth always allows you to get that attack off most of the time.
There's the quick shot. And it is enough damage to allow him to make it through.
Right. So no 4-0. I mean, if Xixo won this matchup, he's on fire right now. Like, there's just no stopping him in the group. But, you know, reality settles in. Xixo does end up dropping a game here. But that is Xieshuai's best matchup on paper. And he does have that Shaman available to him.
Yeah, Shaman's not a great matchup. Cthulhu Warrior is really good against Shaman a lot of times, but not like really, really good, just really good, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
Shaman can beat anything.
Shaman still can just start off with the ridiculous start of Tunnel Trog, Totem Golems. And
yeah, he has Lightning Storm teched into his Shaman as well, which is going to be very hurtful in the matchup. It's just a dead draw that you can potentially get.
Well, I'm not loving that either.
I think Dragon Warrior is his next best deck to be able to beat the Cthulhu Warrior. Dragon Warrior has a lot of mid-rangey threats and can put on a lot of pressure really fast and sneak wins against it a lot of times. I'd honestly almost say it's really close to being just Dragon Warrior favored that match.
You think so?
Yeah.
I still think the Cthulhu Warrior has the edge.
Like traditional Cthulhu Warrior. Like Xixo's Cthulhu Warrior is a lot more defensive, right?
True.
So I think that can give it a bit more of an edge. But like in general, when they're running like the brand Doomcaller list and all these greedy cards, Emperor Thorson included, like sometimes you just don't have the removal and they start getting to that point where they're dropping 9/9s every turn. And
you only have so many executes and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, that's a really good point. That's something I didn't consider, too, just how Xixo's deck list has outfitted, too, specifically. So, well, I mean, Xixo is just going to be queuing up that Cthulhu Warrior. Now, keep in mind, guys, our match coming up after this, I believe we have a Jab up against Sivka. So that's going to be really cool, too, just because I know Firebat has a bet. He thinks Sivka will go farther than Xixo. Doesn't mean that he'll beat Xixo. I mean, maybe they could lose to him in the groups and then ends up still going farther in the tournament.
I feel like I'm very favored in the bet because I got to see all the deck lists, and
That's true.
Xixo did not get to see all the deck lists.
Wow, that's an uneven playing field. But I mean, he should.
That's why I take the bet. Yeah.
He should have done his research going in, man.
I don't know. You're gonna let me get all the information and give you no information. I'll take it.
Yeah, I think this is why you should never bet against Firebat. in general when he makes these kind of tournament predictions.
I'm on a lucky winning streak so far in the past few tournaments of predicting who's going to win. So, like, I predicted Lovely Chook was going to win EU versus CN.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I've been, like, nailing it lately. Every tournament I've cast, I've been able to predict the winner.
DreamHack.
That one I did not predict. There's too many players. There's no way.
Hundreds of players, just too difficult.
Yeah, you can't predict, like, 128 players. Pick the one guy that's going to win. Good luck.
I want to say, though, that last DreamHack winter, as soon as I saw the first iteration of Dragon Warlock or Mallylock from Purple, I thought he was going to win the tournament.
Okay.
But that was like 3 rounds in, so it's not exactly like the cleanest prediction. But it was like, I was like, oh my god, he's just going to win the tournament.
That is a pretty good prediction, yeah.
It's probably the only good prediction I've ever had.
Right.
Just because it feels like so hard sometimes to analyze fields of like hundreds of players.
Yeah, it would take a really long time of writing things down. And
Sure,
I don't know.
spreadsheets.
Yeah.
It's a good enough hand to blow out the warrior from Shaman. It's a pretty good. It's true.
He leads off very aggressively here with Tunnel Trug. A lot of players, I think, would lean more towards leading off Argent Squire, just so if your opponent has turn 2 War X, you don't just lose the game instantly.
Right.
So.
Oh, Tunnel Trug. But he's going to be able to protect it first.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get these Feral Spirits out there.
Tunnel Trug just goes uncontested.
Yeah. And let's see if he goes face or trades. If you trade, you play really hard into Ravaging Ghoul on curve.
Yeah, or Disciple of Cthulhu. Just like 2 opportunities for him to remove. I don't like that at all.
No, you want to embrace the Smork here and go face for sure.
You are called a
in situations like this, you got to make your opponent have the punch. And opening yourself up to more punishes is not a good way to go about it. We see Bran going down. Interesting.
He's probably assuming that Xieshuai might just keep ignoring his minion. Maybe he can get two Ravaging Ghoul effects. I don't know if that
2 Ravaging Ghoul effects doesn't even help him. I think it's more just so Bran is trading, like he's hoping Xieshuai trades into Bran to set up his own Ravaging Ghoul when he really doesn't have a plan for this Bran at all. He just really hopes that his opponent trades into it, and we are going to see the Abusive Sergeant come down, the Bran get traded into. Yeah. This is going to allow for an absolutely disgusting Ravaging Ghoul for Xixo.
Pick up that Execute would be really sick.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Bran play works out. Just, forcing that trade to happen.
Yeah.
Also played around like Rockbiter and Lightning Bolt quite nicely. With Feral Spirits.
Also true.
So their only option to like remove Bran cleanly is Abusive Sergeant, which extends into the Ravaging Ghoul. And if you go with Ravaging Ghoul that turn, then they also have Rockbiter or Bolt to clear your Ravaging Ghoul instead of trading minions. So yeah, it's a really, really, really good little thing.
Yeah, that ends up paying off, right? It doesn't always work out that way, but when it does, it ends up making it look like a G.
Yeah, definitely looked really smart, but he's still on the back foot a little bit here.
Yeah, he's still taking a lot of damage. But the good news is that his opponent's overloaded, so he can't exactly play Doomhammer next turn, which is, without the Harrison in hand, you're very afraid.
And Cthulhu is now active, so he's got that gain 10 coming up pretty soon.
About 7 from hand, so he still wouldn't kill him next turn. Oh, tough call.
Yeah, it's really hard to play Sylvanas into that board, so we do see him go for the Brawl.
He had 2 brawls. I think they also simplified it. Wow, good outcome for Xixo. Killing off the 2 higher prized minions here.
Yeah. Wouldn't be totally surprised to see the Flame Tongue Totem and Totem come out here instead of the Doomhammer.
Yeah, and he also knows that Harrison exists in the deck too, because he saw the previous game shutting down the Eaglehorn Bow.
And when you expect your opponent to be playing all of their mana on a 7-drop, that means they're not likely to be interacting with your board and removing anything. So that means any minion you can develop, you can make, is better than weapon development.
Right.
Because they just can't interact with your minions while playing that 7-drop that they need to be playing on this turn to be, in the game.
Yeah, so Argent Squire essentially can do double damage here. 6 damage. Plus the whatever totem comes out here. I think he prefers the...
that one.
Yeah, top totem. Oh, so annoying to deal with as the warrior. Just the fact that these small little totems threatening just so that you can't deal with it. 10 life pumps him up to 21, so he's got 5.
Yeah, looking at 12 damage.
Well, that works out conveniently. Fits out the rest of the mana.
He doesn't have the cards to play around second Brawl, so he's got to go all in here. Shouldn't be trading with the minion, I don't think. spending a lot of your minions to kill their minion that would die in Brawl. All goes in your favor, which it should. The minion's going to die for free anyway, so there's no reason to trade into it.
Oh, well, according to our nifty stat prediction analyst spreadsheet dude, Harrison has a 5% chance of being drawn, meaning that Xixo has 20 cards left in his deck.
Well, he's signaled to Xixo that he does have a lightning bolt as he's sitting here kind of waiting for this trade to happen. So
right.
Maybe
You have 1 mana remaining.
Yeah.
3 attack on the board. It's like, well, I have lightning bolt.
I think he made the correct decision, ignoring the minion and going all face.
Yeah. Okay. Comes out too.
Yeah. It's still scary. Your opponent has a Doom Hammer. Fighters in their deck.
You can also go for the 1 and 5 prayer.
Sometimes you get there.
He chooses not to kill a taunt totem, by the way.
Of course, you want the taunt totem to live. This is an 0-2.
I always think it from the perspective of
when you make
keeping your
more
minion
chance.
had a chance to survive. But I mean you're right. You're absolutely right when you put it in a phrase of like a 0-2.
Yeah. If you remove the taunt totem, you lower your positive outcomes by 1, right? So
It's true. I didn't think about that.
yeah.
So
Oh.
it's a lot of damage. Spell power totem would.
Hold on to it. You wait for that spell power totem to come around.
Xixo has 9 mana. I guess he's praying for that other, either a way to remove that weapon through Harrison or through another gain 10 life.
There's no ancestral knowledge in the deck, right? So there's no reason to fire it away. Yeah, no ancestral knowledge in the deck. There is a Finley, which could, incentivize throwing it at the face, so you can Finley tap into more burst with more mana. But I like holding on to it for the spell power, I think.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Well, actually, your opponent's at 7, so there's no way that the spell power is actually too relevant anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, he still is able to take this game anyways, but despite the fact that he didn't throw it out. I think.
Sure, but these are the
Xieshuai is going to take game 5. So 2 back-to-back wins, and the momentum's starting to shift. More importantly, the Shaman, you think that it was slightly unfavored, so it ends up being a good win here.
Yeah, definitely a solid win. He still has the Dragon Warrior and the Druid left, which traditionally aren't the greatest decks against Cthulhu Warrior, but Xixo's Cthulhu Warrior is really different. He's got it tacked towards the meta. He's got it aimed at, we believe, aimed at things like Shaman. So it's interesting to see it fumble here against Shaman. It might be the case of where, you're a great player and you take a good deck and then you try and tech it to make it even better, and then you tech it too far. That's something that can happen. Well-rounded. Anti-aggro, Cthulhu Warrior losing to aggro, though, so it's got to be disconcerting for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, he still has some of his best matchups ahead of him, though. So we'll see if ends up panning out. I mean, at the same time, though, I feel like Cthulhu Druid is very much kind of like that Cthulhu, that Shaman, more sense. Like sometimes the Cthulhu Druid just kind of dumps onto the board.
Yeah.
You can't really answer it. The flood of threats that it puts out with just big statted minions.
Yeah.
There's only so many executes in the world for 4/10s.
And sometimes Fandral sticks, and that's a bummer.
Sometimes Fandral sticks, and
yeah.
sometimes just the Raven. The fact.
I hate when I play Druid on ladder and they innervate out Fandral and I can't kill it.
Yeah. And they play Raven Knight. I'm just so sad because it's probably not even that amazing, but it's just the fact that he gets 2 cards from
They
it.
play Nourish every time against me. I don't know.
Yeah?
Your opponents are really nice. My opponents always go for the Nourish double Raven Idol, and it's like, well, I'm glad I tuned into this game. That was really fun.
I'm taking a look at some of the small differences too that might help put him over the edge. He only runs 1 Nourish, so that's interesting.
Yeah, 1 Nourish is pretty standard in Cthulhu Warrior, right? And Yogg Druid runs the double Nourish. So, yeah, it seems like pretty similar to every Cthulhu Warrior list that has been kind of played. It's run, the wild growths. Harrison. Sylvanas. Seen players like Jockey play this deck list a lot in tournaments. It's interesting he chooses to go with this deck list first over the Dragon Warrior.
Yeah, Dragon Warrior, perhaps he just lost faith in it. He's lost twice with it already.
Sure.
Could be just a confidence issue. It also could be just one of those things where maybe you're resign yourself to the fact that you have to win with each deck anyways. So you might as well just go for it. The one advantage, of course, is that Xieshuai could also not show his Druid, play Warrior one more time.
Yeah.
Because it is a group stage.
Yeah, that would be quite advantageous, as a lot of players are not bringing the Cthulhu Druid. I think it's one of the more rarer archetypes of Druid in the latest tournament format.
It's fascinating because I think Admiral's telling me how he thinks that Cthulhu Druid is like
a bad deck for sure. It's definitely like a solid tier 2 deck, but the big issue is Yogg Druid has an incredible win rate against Cthulhu Druid. Like it's like 60% favored of Yogg Druid in the head-to-head, yeah. So like against each other, Yogg Druid's so much better, so a lot of players have been bringing Yogg Druid as their Druid choice when bringing decks to tournaments.
fair enough. But, I mean, I still have faith in Cthulhu Druid. I think it's still one of the strongest decks out there, especially for people who are starting to get into Whisper of the Old Gods. Cthulhu Druid is like one of the go-to decks to start playing. Oh, a pretty slow startup. Trying to look at the Druid's hand, because I think Druid would be the one that has
Too slow.
Yeah.
And missing Wild Growth isn't great. I think you kind of just have to play Fandral out here and let it die, basically. I don't know. You can hero power, I guess. It's just then the War X charge still sticks around, and it's so slow.
Yeah, I guess maybe the benefit is if he doesn't have a minion, then
Yeah.
it's not exactly like easy for him to deal with Druid the Claw.
Sure. Yeah, it's not that bad. I don't know. Just whenever I play Druid, I get too tempo-minded, I guess. Yeah.
That's nice, though.
Yeah, Druid of the Claw is going down for sure.
Yeah, Shield Slam allows him fishing move. Well, I mean, now he does actually, by keeping Fandral, he has some options, like Fandral Rat.
Yeah, I think it was better to keep Fandral. So we got a curve. Let's just
instead of Cthulhu Druid.
same thing, right?
Feels like it. Now,
Yeah, you gotta trade your Druid of the Claw in and hero power the Sylvanas, and then play a 4-drop.
yeah, I guess the Cthulhu's chosen. That doesn't feel very good, but it's like you said, like you have to deal with it immediately because Sylvanas left her own device. It's gonna be pretty strong.
Yeah, if you try and play your own Sylvanas into it, they're gonna take your Sylvanas, and then you're in a worse spot. If you try to play Dark Arco into it, they're gonna take your Druid of the Claw.
Yeah, or even worse, like take Dark Arco if they have like Ravaging Ghoul or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the only play is trade the Druid of the Claw, hero power it, and play Dark Arco. Or Wrath, Wrath
Okay.
for 1 trade and play the 4-drop Cthulhu's Chosen.
See what he draws as well. Is there any like specific MVP cards that he's looking for? Probably like Cthulhu.
You definitely want Cthulhu in this
Yeah.
one.
Oh, Ragnaros is a really important one too. That he's
Hero
gonna be
powering.
looking
Yeah.
for.
He's playing very,
Oh.
very slow, value-oriented game plan.
That's interesting.
Maybe he's starting to realize Xixo's deck a little bit more since he's seen it so many times, and he's like, yeah, if I try and play the value game, I think I can just outvalue your deck, because Xixo did remove like pretty much all of the threat package, right? Except, he's added,
like
he's added
Doomcaller's
Deathwing,
gone.
but he's removed Doomcaller, so
Yeah, but he also removed because he's not playing that package of stuff. He's not playing Emperor. For
yeah, he's not
example.
playing Emperor. He's definitely like lowered the threat density of the deck a lot. So
Yeah.
maybe Xieshuai is just identifying that and altering his playstyle, and that's why he's going for this instead of tempo playstyle, which is the traditional way to play the matchup.
Yeah.
He's just going for pure value and thinking maybe he's cut enough endgame that I can just value game him to death.
It's true. I mean, I guess that's what he's identified through seeing double Echo, like even right now. Does unfortunately trade for the board, but I mean, he's got so many big dudes that it's okay. It is interesting though that Xieshuai chooses to play Sylvanas and not like a Dark Arco there. Actually, now that I think.
Yeah. I guess he's just afraid of letting Xixo get a bunch of draws. He threatens to steal a 3/3 if Ravaging Ghoul gets played, I guess. I don't know.
It's true.
It's still just like every time you let Sylvanas die on board, it's one of the most impactful cards against Cthulhu Warrior for sure. And
Yeah.
letting it die for free never feels good.
That's the only thing that I'm concerned about because you just know that there's huge dudes in the deck all the time, and silence is pretty much just out of the meta.
Yeah, there's never silence in Cthulhu Warrior, so anytime that they have like a 6/6 on the field or anything, and you play Cthulhu into that, I mean not Cthulhu, you play Sylvanas into that, it's absolutely insane for you. So, yeah, it's definitely a questionable play, trying to get rid of draw for your Sylvanas.
Do you like using Shield Slam here?
Yeah, I like Shield Slam at a 5/7. That's a big guy.
You know, one of those things where, like, you know, you never know if you want to keep it for something else. But I mean, I think it's just too efficient.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest minions in the deck by far, right? So there's like double Dark Arakoa, and then what is there after that? There's Rag and Cthulhu, and I guess Twin Emperors to some extent, but those are a little bit smaller individually than Dark Arakoa is. So, you know, it's in the top end of the bigger minions, and it's such a great tempo swing. So.
Okay.
I guess you have to trade your 6/1.
Yeah, it's being at 1 health doesn't exactly make it very strong.
You could go for the aggressive play.
Hit
go face, Warwick's face, try and Cthulhu.
Ooh, I like that. Cthulhu Warrior turning up the heat against Druid.
Sure. The value play starting to kind of not work out as Cthulhu Druid, Cthulhu Warriors turning on the guns.
Too many cards, man. He's got like more ways to draw. Well,
yeah.
Swipe. How big is that Cthulhu?
10/10.
Okay. So he's got 13 damage if it went all face. Okay, Wrath. And he can also swipe.
Yeah, Wrath, swipe, face.
It's pretty strong.
Yeah, he's just riding this line between like tempo and value, right? So it's like he's got to be enough value to outvalue Cthulhu Warrior, but at the same time, he doesn't want to just get out tempoed so where like Cthulhu just kills him.
Right.
So he's doing it quite nicely here at 9 life, just barely staying alive, balancing it.
Well, I mean, hypothetically, Cthulhu could just kill him.
Yeah, that too. He doesn't have a way to kill it, right? He's got Raven Idol and a Dream.
It's true. Well,
and then he has to kill Deathwing,
minion,
you know, after that. So
if Cthulhu hits face 6 times, that's lethal.
Yeah, that never happens, right?
Never really happens, but it'll happen one time eventually.
I wouldn't hate for Xixo to just drop Cthulhu.
Most likely, even if it doesn't kill the opponent, it will weaken the minions enough for him to kill off like Vandal.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's able to clear the board with this Cthulhu, your opponent mulches it, develops a minion, then you play Deathwing. No Cthulhu Druid deck plays 2 mulches.
Right.
So the odds are that Deathwing is going to stick around and connect.
There it is. Full clear. Harrison a little bit too late here. So let's see what that Raven Idol can pick up. There's a lot of removals with Naturalize and Mulch.
Yeah, Naturalize would be like the best here. He's going for
Another Raven Idol. Raven Idol train.
The Dream's alive.
No. I mean, you can get in the way of Cthulhu. That's about it, though.
Yeah. I guess you do go for, then you get the Cthulhu's Chosen and maybe Mark of the Wild it. Make it less susceptible to removal a bit. That'd be a better taunt than Dark Arakoa, because Dark Arakoa could get Shield Slammed or executed.
It's true. So, yeah, I don't mind that. The Mark of the Wild onto the Cthulhu's Chosen. It still gives you mana to Wild Growth, I guess.
Yeah, and you could find something else with the Wild Growth, but it's a nice
Maybe
backup
Mulch.
plan, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Take the Mark of the Wild, and then play the Wild Growth and look for my backup option.
Yeah, I guess he's out of time, so he can't
Sure.
really afford much, so he's just going to hero power. I think in the ideal world, you would Wild Growth cycle, maybe pick up Mulch, and then Mulch and play Twilight Elder instead.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Of course, you would still die to Gorehowl off the top. No. Assuming that was actually the case. Well, good game, good set, and Xixo is going to take it 4-2, advancing to the winners portion of the group stages. The first best of 7 is done, just like that.
Just like that.
Any thoughts post-mortem on that series?
I really like the way Xixo played the Tempo Mage. I think he piloted that quite nicely. And
Yeah. That was a huge win, just like you said, because, I mean, the series was 4-2, so imagine if he lost that, it would have been 3-3, and then he had to win again with Temple Mage.
Yeah, so it's like
It's dicey.
being able to get that a win like right out of the bat was definitely huge, and he definitely played it really patiently, played it well. It just seems like he's been practicing it a lot, which makes a lot of sense. The 5th deck is the most important one, the one that's the hardest to win with and the hardest to play, right?
It's a limiting factor.
Yeah, it's the limiting factor in almost all of your series, so being able to play that nicely. And I don't know if I liked the text of Xixo's Cthulhu Warrior. They seemed interesting to me on paper for sure. In performance, they didn't seem that great because it stumbled a few games. But
Sure.
I really like the idea of the text in his Cthulhu Warrior on paper. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that ends up panning out for the rest of the group, which, by the way, if we take a look at the bracket, we can take a look at Xixo advancing to the winners portion, and we have Jab versus Sifka coming up next, which is pretty cool. Get to see if whether or not Jab can continue to pick up results after appearing into the championships for Americas last year, and whether or not Sifka can also continue his hot streak of good play in the recent times. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have another series, and I think Nox is also going to rotate in as a caster. So stay tuned, guys. You're watching the StarSeries StarLadder I-League Season 2 Finals. We apologize. We thought we were going to break, but we have Noxious standing by to interview Xixo on his thoughts on that series. It's going to be really fun to watch and listen to. You'll see why in a sec. Hint, it's the height difference.
I didn't get it either, but now I get it. It's pretty funny.
It's going to be awesome.
They
really need to make them sit down to do it.
I didn't think Noxious was as short as he is. Like, seeing his streams and stuff, he seemed like he'd be a lot taller.
It's just his legs, man. His torso and stuff is fine. It's just how it is always. I'm the same way, too, actually. My legs are kind of short, but my torso is, like, average size. So when I sit down, like, in a caster desk, everyone's like, yeah, you're normal. And then, I mean, we're, like, the same height, but it's just, like, there's a lot of really tall people who cast games, like super Nimsh, or like go to like the CS casters or like the StarCraft casters. They're all super tall, like 6'2" and above. It's nuts.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's weird.
All right, let's head over to the interview and see what they have to say. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, it's not ready yet. I thought, I guess he's being interviewed first by.
Yeah, he's getting interviewed in different languages first. So we're kind of the end of the cut here. It looks like he's
there it is.
Chinese right now. And then Russian, and then maybe us.
Okay. It's probably going to be soon, though, so we'll get ready in just a second. I think they're just getting all the tech and stuff, the microphone set up. All right, let's go.
But Fine will both fit in the frame. So congratulations on your win against your opponent. We expected you to lose, but you beat us all to the prediction. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, after knowing that you expected me to lose, I kind of had to win, like, just about proving the casters wrong.
Okay, so I bet like $50 on Xixo losing the first match as a friendly bet. I know that Stansivka is also betting, and Firebat's also betting against you. Now that you've won the first match with decks that we didn't really think were that good, I have to ask you about the Tempo Mage, because that seems to be the kind of like the leftover deck, like the last deck in the lineup. Everything seems standard, but you chose to bring it over other possibly a bit better decks.
So there are 4 good classes, being Warrior, Druid, Shaman, and Warlock. Then, because it's best of 7, we need 1 more deck. We have to bring 1 bad deck, and I've practiced for like 2 weeks just to find the least bad out of the 5 classes remaining, and I'm pretty sure Mage is better than the other 4 classes.
Good.
就之前我们解说组也是作为朋友的话是压了 Xixo 输，然后我然后 Firebat 包括Stansiska 都是赌了 Xixo 输，但是没想到 Xixo 赢了。然后之后我想问一下，就是因为这次 BO7 的赛制比以往要多带一套卡组，然后你为什么是选了一套节奏法？然后 Xixo 也是说那我经过很多的测试，因为这次考虑到 BO7 的赛事，我花了2个月的时间，然后测试了在剩下的5个职业里面，我觉得节奏法是相对于其他4个比较不常用的职业来说是最好的一套卡组。
Absolutely true. So I guess congratulations. Good luck on your next match. I mean, your first opponent was playing pretty good decks, I'd say overall, but it's not really like there's anything unexpected out of the lineup. The Druid versus Cthulhu Warrior could have gone, I think, at the end there. So matchup, did you tech against it at all?
No, I mean, I Gore Howl is really good against Druid, and I have Deathwing, which is really good against Druid, so I think I'm probably favored in that matchup, but in the end, if he had turn 2 White Growth, it would be in a way better position for him, but after his turn 2 was just Hero Power Pairs, I knew I would win.
All right.
在最后一场比赛里面，我们看到前面的比赛都是比较轻松的。那最后一场是克苏恩德和库斯恩战之间的战争。那这样子的话，胜利可能是5-5开的一个局面。然后 Xixo， 你是对这场最后的胜利是怎么看的 ？Xixo 就说：“那我觉得我的卡组里面有一张血吼，然后有一张死亡之翼。对于德鲁伊的对局来说，应该是我可能是6-4开稍占上风。然后因为德鲁伊也没有在第2回合打出野性成长，那等于来说我已经是占据了巨大的优势。然后最后我也是成功的取得了比赛的胜利。”
All right, so we'll be getting some final words from the casters, and then move on to the next match.
All right, thank you so much for those couple words with Xixo. In the meantime, guys, we're going to take a quick break. It's about 10 minutes before we get to our second series, which is Stansifka versus Jab. So when we return, guys, we're going to have more action from Group A of the StarSeries Season 2 Finals. Stay tuned.